Hello again, welcome back. This is lecture 9 and I'm going to create the drawings for exercises 25, 26, and 27. As you know, there are 10 lectures in this series. If you prefer that the lectures be given on another day or at a different time, let me know and I will try to accommodate you. For now, I'd like to get started with an example of Autocad's 3D face command. The simplest form of a surface in Autocad is a 3D face which has no thickness. But 3D faces are flat surfaces with 3 or 4 straight edges. When you shade or render the object, the planar faces are filled. 3D faces can be used as a basis for creating a lot of different kinds of objects. The 3D face can be used to cover the sides of a box. They can be used to provide a skin or cover for an airplane, helicopter, boat, and so forth. The objective here, first off, is to cover the rectangle and the hexagon with a 3D face. To cover the rectangle, I'll enter the 3D face command, select the rectangle, and then pick the 4 corners, either clockwise or counterclockwise. And you'll notice that the rectangle is covered now with a 3D face. In order to cover the hexagon with a 3D face, I'll have to click on all its corners, either clockwise or counterclockwise. To demonstrate that these objects have no thickness, I will go into View, Orbit, and rotate them around a little bit in 3D space. You can see there is no thickness. With that accomplished, I'll proceed to make the drawing for exercise 25. This exercise 25, is also going to be drawn on a B-size paper, which is 11 by 17. As stated previously, it's the same procedure that we use on A-size, C-size, D-size, whatever. Obviously, the drawing is so small we can't see it too well, so we're going to have to zoom it up a bit. Now, there are some companies that use only B-size exclusively. So if you're working for a company and they give you a B-size format, you just open it up. It'll be in paper space. Then, as usual, the first thing we'll do is to go into model space, click the model button, then click the layer, and make layer 1 current. And then we'll start to draw. We'll start to draw by going with a line command, L-enter. Pick any point on the screen. Draw a line with ortho on, so it's a horizontal line. Type 2, enter. Move up. Type 0.62, enter. To the left, 2, enter. Down, C to close. Obviously, we'll have to enlarge the drawing. Next, I'll type O, enter to offset, type 0.5, enter, and move this line up. Enter twice for offset again, and I'll type 0.5, enter. Then 1, enter. Perhaps I'll zoom it to make it even larger. You'll want to type F, enter, hit escape, F, enter, radius R, enter, 0, enter. So with a fillet radius of 0, we can clean up these corners. I want to break this middle line, and you'll see why in a minute. Fillet again. Now I want to offset again. O, enter, the thickness of the material, which is 0.06. And of course, in this view, that line should be a hidden line. And so I'll hit escape, select the line, go to properties, actually, cancel that. Go to properties, change the layer of that line from 1 to hidden. I'll try it again. Go to properties, change the layer to hidden. The dashed lines seem a bit large, so I'll type LTS and change it to 0.6. Looks better now. Type O to offset again, 0.25. Enter twice, 1.5. And again 0.25, and now hit escape, C, enter. I want to draw a circle, but I'm on the wrong layer. So click on layer, make layer 1 current, C, enter. At the intersection, D, enter, 0.156, and then I'll copy that hole from its center to there. And we have no more use for the construction lines, so I can erase them. I'll zoom down so that we can start work on the top view. So I'll copy with a crossing window, C, enter. Pick a point and move it up. Hit return or escape, and I'll offset the thickness of the material, 0.06. And then I'll offset again, 0.5. And again, 1. and again 0.74. And I'll clean up the intersections. Escape, F enter, and I'll enlarge this area so that I can fill it or even trim it. I'll just trim it this time. Trim. Zoom previous. Trim also that. Now we'll want to draw a chamfer. Well, not really. Well, it's a 45 degrees, so I suppose it could be a chamfer. Let's try it. C-H-A, chamfer. And D, enter, which would be 74 minus 49, which would be 5. So for D I'll put 0.25, and the second chamfer distance is 0.25, so I'll simply pick the two lines, enter, pick these two lines. Now this portion here should be a hidden line, and so what I want to do is to break it. BR, enter. I'm going to break this line. F is from the first point here, pick a second point there, and I'll redraw that line. And then using the match properties, the paintbrush, I'll select the hidden line and I'll change that to a hidden line. Now we'll want to type O, enter, 0.49, enter, to find the center of that hole. And well, it's going to be right in the exact center, so I'll draw a line from the midpoint here up, and I'll type C for circle, select the intersection, D for diameter, 0.266, enter. Erase the construction lines and see where we go from there. Perhaps the next thing to do is to pan over and draw the right side view. So I'll copy 3 lines here and drag them over. Draw another line down here and offset O, enter, 0.74, enter. Try it again. O, enter, 0.74, enter. And we'll have to offset, enter twice, the thickness of the material, 0.06. And then zoom in so we can see better what's going on. I want to use fillet, hit escape, fillet, radius is 0, so that's okay. I can clean up this intersection in this way, and this intersection and this intersection and here. And we should use the paintbrush match properties to make sure that all the lines are on layer 1. When you bend sheet metal like this, you can, it's so thin, have a sharp corner on the inside. but the outside corner is going to have a radius, which will be the thickness of the material. So I'll type F, enter, R, enter, and the thickness is 0.06. So we'll have an outside radius of 0.06. And I'll zoom previous. Perhaps the next thing to do will be to change the layer to make layer center current. And now I can put some center marks for the holes, although that's not the right center mark that I wanted. So, well, that's okay, it's good enough for now. We'll do another center mark for here. And there. Actually, we want to draw a line down here like so, and then move it. Move that center line down here. I should try the LTS again. LTS. Oh, make it 0.4. Okay. Now we want to start dimensioning the object. Go to Layer, Make, Dimension, Current. Okay. Go to Linear Dimension. I'm only going to do a few of them. 0.49. Hit the space bar. .74. Remember, you can double click, you can turn off the ortho and the snap. You can click on the dimension and then drag it down to wherever you want it, like so. Escape. Rather than spend the time now, I'll do it later. I want to get on to the solid model. I'm going to zoom real time, shrink it down, pan, move it over to the lower left, and then we'll want to copy the front and the top view. Move them to the upper right. Hit escape. Go to Layer, make Layer Solid Current. I'll zoom in on those two views and erase unnecessary lines. For example, I know that I'm not going to use the center lines in this case. In the case of making a solid. But I'm going to use the fillet command, F-enter, to make this part in two pieces. That's incorrect. So I'll undo it. I want to do a fillet, enter, radius, enter of 0, enter. I'll zoom it up so that you can see it better. F-enter. Hit the space bar. Use the paintbrush. And then erase unnecessary lines. And zoom previous. And here I'm going to erase. And then I'm going to fillet, F-enter. And again. That piece will lay on top of the other. then erase. And we can type PE enter, polyline edit. Want to make it a polyline? Yes. J enter. Select the objects. I can select them with a window or just individually, not the circle though. So now that is a polyline. You can see if I hover over it, it's one continuous line. Do the same with the bottom. Going to type PE enter, select a line, make it a polyline, yes. J enter, select those lines and these, enter. Might be a good idea to move the two pieces closer together. And it's also a good idea to select them, go to properties, and put them on layer solid. Now we're in a position to move into southeast isometric view, pan and zoom. Of course, we want to type EXT, enter to extrude. I'll try it again. EXT, yeah, it's showing up. Extrude, the top piece, enter, 0.06, enter, and then subtract. You can type the word subtract or pick it there. Subtract from that, the whole, and repeat the command. We want to extrude, EXT, this part, along with the holes, 0.06, and again subtract from the part, enter, the holes, enter, and just to see if it looks right, we'll add some shading. It looks okay, so I'll go back to the 2D wireframe, at which point we'll go to the 3D rotate command, select that part, and put the snap on, pick a point, make the red axis active. We want to go counterclockwise, so it's 90, enter, and then we can move the top piece, which is going to sit right on top, from the bottom here to the outside like that. And we can join the two pieces together. To complete this particular part, we want to go to fillet, F, enter, and I want to fillet or put a radius on the outside of that point. So it says enter fillet radius 0.06, enter. It says select an edge. I already did, so I'll simply hit enter. And that, I believe, no, it didn't work. Try it again. Go back into 2D. Oh, I hit the wrong one, apparently. What I had just drawn didn't work because I hit the wrong line, selected the wrong line, the inside radius. So I really want to put a fillet on the outside radius. So I used the over command to change the position of it. So that's where I want to put the fillet. 0.06. Try it again. 0.06. 06, enter, enter. Alright, so I'll zoom previous now, and zoom previous again, and we'll try it one more time. That looks right now. The radius is on the outside of the bracket. And of course, to complete the job, you click on the viewports layer, make it current, you type MV enter, and make a large window. Repeat the command, make a smaller window, double click inside, southeast isometric, then zoom with the window, and pan. And I believe that this particular piece if I click on it, the large viewport, and change the scale, I think it's 1:1. We'll try it. Yeah, it's just about 1:1. So actually what I can do is move this down like that to hide the bracket. And then of course we can go to and make layer 1 current and freeze the viewports layer, and essentially the drawing is done. I think it should be saved as 20. I better fix it now. ED enter, and the number of this drawing is 25. Try it again. Having a little problem here. ED enter. 25. So, thank you for watching, and the scale is 1:1. For exercise 26, we'll do another sheet metal drawing on a B-size paper. As you can see, the drawing doesn't appear very large, and it's hard to read the dimensions, so I will zoom it up a bit, make a little window, see the dimensions. So, okay, now I can start drawing on the left part of the screen. Of course, first thing we do is to go into model space. We set the layer to 1 to be current. Then we simply start to draw. Auto must be on, so I'll draw a line, 2 enter, down 1.63 enter, 2 enter, and then C to close. And of course we'll zoom that up, and I'll center it. You will probably start with the offset command, O enter, 0.38 enter, enter twice to repeat the command, 0.5, offset that up there, enter twice, 0.2, enter, and we'll use hit escape, F enter for fillet, R enter, 0 enter. I want a fillet radius 0 to clean up this little intersection here, and zoom in on the relief. I want to break BR, enter this line, F for a first point, then pick the second point. There is the bend relief, soon previous. Now we'll offset again, O, enter, 0.075, which is the thickness of the stock. And move that here, not there, here. I'll erase that error. Now you might want to offset again, O, enter, 0.38. And you might want to offset again 1.25. And you might want to offset again 0.19. And one last time 1.25 offset. Now we'll draw some circles. C, enter. I'll escape. Got to keep reading that command line. C, enter. D, enter. 0.12, enter. Repeat the command. Put another circle there. D, enter. 0.12, enter. Now perhaps we'll copy. CO, enter. Pick the two circles, get the intersection, and copy them both down at the same time. And we can get rid of the construction lines. Seems to be a good time to make the center layer current. Click OK. Go to center mark on the dimension toolbar and just select the circles. Enter, enter, or spacebar. And I'll draw a line to connect these holes. Like center lines, so I'll type LTS and change it to 0.6 or whatever you want. Didn't work, try it again. LTS, how about 0.5? That looks better. I can now proceed to draw the right side view or start dimensioning. I think perhaps I'll start dimensioning just for a change. So I'm going to layer and make the DIM layer current, then start dimensioning. I should also say that because there's so much congestion down here, I'm going to change the dim scale. Instead of being 1, which is normal, I'll make the dim scale 0.75. So just type dim scale, enter 0.75. And now I'll start to dimension. Of course, what the size of the dimensions are depends a lot upon what the company wants that you're working for. I guess I haven't done it yet, so I'm going to do it. I'll erase that. Kind of large. DIM. Let's see. Dim scale 1.75. And we'll start with our linear dimensions. I think perhaps I'll continue completing the dimensions, but I won't bother to tape them because you probably will already know how to dimension an object. Now that the front view is completely dimensioned, I'll want to draw the right side view. So I'm going to zoom and pan over to give myself the room to do it. I suppose the first thing I'll do is to copy that and move them over here where there's going to be sufficient room. And then I'm going to copy, I'll just draw a line. Well, I suppose I ought to make layer 1 current. And I'll draw a line from there over to here. I'll offset enter, 0.75, enter. Offset again, 0.075, which is the thickness of the material. enter, 0.075. And I can copy this line. Drag that over here. Hit escape or enter. Zoom in so that you can see it better. And now I'm going to fillet. Radius is 0, so that's okay. Hit the space bar. Space bar. Now I'll want to offset again to find the center of the hole, so it's 0.55. Enter twice. 0.19. And I'm going to hit escape, C enter, pick the intersection, D enter, 0.188, enter, and erase construction lines. When this material is bent over, you won't see the line here, so it should be hidden. So I'll go and make hidden current and draw a line from that intersection to a point that is perpendicular to this horizontal line. And that looks correct. So now I can zoom previous, and I can copy. I'll copy this center line here and this one just to show them on this view here. And perhaps I'll even move MN, this center line, down a trifle. And I can perhaps now make the dimension layer current. Okay. And I can put in a linear dimension from the center there to here, 0.55. And I can take a dimension, a diameter dimensioning. Click the circle, drag it down here, and it says 0.199. Well, I better change that. So I'm going to edit, ED, enter, and I'll delete it. Delete, and I'll type, no, I'll go here to symbol, put a diameter, and then 0.188, and click OK. So now the front view and the side view seem to be adequately drawn and dimensioned, so I'll go into Layer and make the solid layer current. Probably a good idea at this point to make solid layer current, yes, but also freeze the dimension layer, freeze the center layer. Now what I can do is to copy both drawings and move them up, take ortho off, and move them up to the right here. And then I can go back to Layer and Thaw, Center and Dimension. And Z enter, E enter, zoom extents, and I can move M enter this portion over here, and I can pan, and then zoom with the window. These drawings are going to be the basis of the solid. I'll type F enter, clean up that intersection, etc., and that intersection. Erase that. I'm going to have a part that fits in there. And I'm going to F enter, F enter, oh, I didn't do that right either. That's what I want to do. So I want to trim from this line these two lines. It didn't trim, that means it's a separate entity, so I have to erase it. Erase that, and I don't need this hidden line anymore. So what I'll do now is to make a window and put all that stuff on layer solid. Right now it's on layer 1. I'm going to put it on the solid layer. It'll turn red. Hit escape twice. Polyline edit. PE enter. I'll pick a line. Now, do you want to make a polyline? Yes. Then J to join, enter. So I'm going to join to that line. I'm going to join all those lines, this and this, enter. I'll do it again. PE enter. Now I'll select the small one. Make it a polyline, yes, enter, J, enter. So now I have to pick these 4 lines. And you can see that by hovering over them, they're one continuous solid line. Now I'll move into southeast isometric view here, and I'll pan and zoom so as to create the solid. I'm going to extrude, EXT enter. I'll extrude everything on the big part like that to a height of 0.075, enter, and I'll subtract from the plate, spacebar, these various little cylindrical holes, enter. So that part is done, and I'll do the same with the other. EXT enter. I'll extrude the hole as well as the part, enter. 0.075, I'll accept that, enter. So now I want to subtract from the small block, enter, the small cylindrical hole, enter. Now I think we want to use 3D rotate. Select that part, pick an intersection, and we'll want to rotate it about the green axis. So click on the green axis, it'll turn gold, and since we're going clockwise, it's minus 90. Enter. Now all I have to do, I hope, is to select this small block, pick it up at that intersection, and move it to the bottom of that intersection, and join them together, union them. Union this and this. Enter, and let's see what it looks like. It looks okay, but it should have a chamfer radius on the outside. When you bend material, if the material is thin, you can have a sharp corner on the inside, but the outside still got to be a radius. So I'm going to type F, enter. I'm going to select that corner. Radius is 0.075, the thickness of the material. Enter. It says select an edge. Well, I already have, so I'll just hit enter, and we have it. Now if we really want to see if we have it correct or not, I'll go to View, Orbit, but this time I'll use a free orbit. I'll just rotate it a little bit. Yeah, you can see the radius there, and you can see the through hole, so the part looks correct. So I'll simply zoom previous, then Z, enter, E, enter, move into top view, then I'm going back into layout mode, and I'll enlarge the whole thing, and I'm going to make the viewport layer current. Okay, then I'm going to type MV, enter, and I'll make a window. This is going to be 1:1. Looks okay, and I'll make another window, and this window I'll double click, southeast isometric, pan and zoom as we always do, zoom real time, make it larger, whatever. I'll click on this frame here, click on the larger frame to set the scale, which is going to be 1:1. So go down here to Annotation, Scale, click on 1:1, and I guess I had it pretty close. Double click inside, and then pan. Remember, once you're set to scale, you don't want to change anything. So I'll pan it, and that's okay. Double click outside. In order to hide the solid in this view, I'll click on it, then drag this wall down here like that. Oh snap, has to come off. And that completes the drawing, except that if I want to make layer 1 current and freeze viewports, I can do so. Now the drawing is complete and can be plotted at a scale of 1:1. The dimensions are a little bit smaller, it seems, because I made the dim scale 0.75, but that's a matter of preference. When you plot this at 1:1 on a large sheet of paper, say 11 by 17, it'll be big enough to read, I'm sure. So thank you for your attention, and we'll see you on exercise 27. Exercise 27 is simple. I'll zoom it up so that we can see the dimensions better. Try it again. Zoom with the window. make the left screen active, and of course go into model space and set the current layer to be 1. I'll type C, enter, pick any point on the screen, D, enter, 3.5, enter. I'll repeat the command, find the center of the circle, D, enter, 2.25, enter. Might as well enlarge this, zoom with the window. C, enter, find the center of the circle, there, D, enter, 0.25, enter. Now we'll make layer center current, and we'll pick a center mark. The next thing we'll want to do is to use the match property, make a center line out of this bulk circle like that. Now what we want to do is I guess what we'll do is draw circles. I'll type C, enter, and I'll draw a circle at that point. D, enter, 0.81, enter. The only problem is I'm on the wrong layer, so layer 1 now should be current. I'll try it again. C, enter. This time I'll pick that intersection. D, enter, 0.69, enter. And again, D, enter, 0.94, enter. And again, here, D, enter, 0.56, enter. And using match property, I'll put this back on layer 1. Now what we want to do is to draw lines. I'm going to draw a line from the quadrant here up, and another one from the quadrant here up, and another one quadrant and so forth. Of course I could, well, I'll talk about that later. You notice that each time I'm going back to quadrant, you don't really have to. You can go to OSNAP, you can click on settings, and you can set quadrant or whatever you want here. There's more than one way of doing everything on Autocad. So now the next thing I'm going to do is break a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm going to type BR, enter. Hit escape. BR, enter. I want to break this circle. F is the first point. Do it counterclockwise, like that. Break. F. Break. F. I hit F and then the space bar. Break. F, space bar, first point, second point. And I keep going. Break that circle. F. From here to here. Break that circle. F, enter. here. Hit the space bar, break that circle, F, enter, here, here, and break that circle, F, enter, from here to here. Now what we got to do is put in some radii, and it says it's 0.125 typical, so we'll type F, enter, R, enter, 0.125, enter, and then we'll simply select everything and go around the circle. Do everything counterclockwise. Doesn't matter which line you pick first. Now we'll zoom it down, pan it over, and start drawing the other view. So we're going to start here with a line. Well, I don't have that drawn right. One thing I can do, for example, is to copy the center line and bring it over here. The outside diameter is 3.5, so half of that, 1.5 1/4, is 1 3/4. So I'm going to offset O, enter, 1.75, enter, and I'm going to draw a line anywhere and offset that line. O, enter, 0.5, enter. And we'll use the paintbrush to put everything on the picture in the same layer. And then we're going to escape, fillet, F, enter, radius, R, enter, 0, 0, enter. So now that fillet is radius 0, we can try it again. F, enter, and clean up the intersections. Well, we'll want to make the right side view more accurate, so I'm going to draw a line from that endpoint over here like that. I'm going to draw another line from that intersection over here, and then I'm going to trim TR, and wait a minute, I want to draw another line for the small hole from that intersection over here. Okay, hit escape. When you look at that, it's from an outside view, it's going to be a hidden line. When you look at that, it's going to be a hidden line. The one in the middle will be a solid line. So I'll select those two and go to Property and put them on the hidden layer. And I'll make LTS smaller. LTS, I'll make it 0.5 so that you'll be able to see it more clearly. Okay, now what we want to do is trim. I want to trim from both sides and all this excessive material of lines, that is. And what we can do is to mirror MI, enter. I'm going to mirror that line, those three lines I just created. Enter. Try it again. MI, enter. going to mirror those lines from here to here. Enter. And now I believe we're ready to dimension. But rather than take your time in dimensioning it, I'll just dimension it without using the video. Then we'll move on to making the solid. And I'll put the final dimension on now. And we'll want to proceed to make a solid of this object. So I'll click on Layer and make the solid layer current. Probably freeze the center layer, freeze the dimension layer. OK. Well, I'm going to copy that object with ortho off and move it up here somewhere. Hit escape, go back to layer, thaw the layers that I froze, Z, enter, E, enter, and then we're going to pan over a bit, zoom with the window so I can see the object better. We're going to do P, E, enter. Do I want to make it a polyline? Yes. J, enter. So this time I'll use a crossing. C, enter. Anything I touch is going to be selected. All that's going to be selected. C, enter. And all this is going to be selected. Enter. Enter. Hopefully it's all one line. And now I can make a window, select it all, and change the property. Right now it's on layer 1. We're going to put it on layer solid. Hit escape. No. Yeah, I guess I hit the wrong one. Try it again. I'll select the whole thing. Go to property. Layer. I want it on layer solid. Okay. Finally I got it right, I think. Yeah. And we'll move into southeast isometric, and then we'll pan and zoom, and I can now extrude, EXT. I can extrude this, I don't know what you call it, full leaf clover. Extrude that and the whole. Enter 0.5, and I can subtract from the full leaf clover. Enter the whole. Enter, and we'll see what it looks like. Looks okay. So what I'm going to do is enlarge the drawing, and oh, just for fun, so you don't forget, you can go to orbit, continuous orbit, and you can play with the thing one way or another. I'll zoom previous, zoom, Z, enter, E, enter, extents, move into top view, move into layout or paper space, Z, enter, E, enter. I'll want to make layer viewport current, type MV, enter, make a window like that, enter, make another one like that, double click inside the small one, southeast, pan, and zoom. And you can continue to zoom till you get it the way you want it, and pan, etc. right click, exit. Okay, so if I click on this viewport, I can set the annotation scale. I guess I got it down at 1:1. Okay, double click inside. And I think I want to move this. Enter. I'll select solid and then move it out of sight. Okay, now I can double click inside here and I can pan. They look like straight lines, but they aren't. I guess I'm going to have to make the picture bigger. Come on, I have trouble. The newer machines and the new Autocad, you won't have this problem. Right now I'll have to make this picture bigger. Then pan over. There is a way of making that appear as a contour. When you print it, it will come out right. So I'll double click outside again. For all practical purposes, this drawing will print correctly and they will not show up as straight lines, but it's curved. There is a variable in Autocad which we can do now to change it. It's kind of slipped my mind. So for now, let's fix this drawing. I'll pan that over. Now this is all that we're going to do, except for to go into layer, make layer 1 current and freeze viewports, and for me to say the drawing is finished. Thank you for your attention. This video will show how to align two objects in 2D. The first thing to do is to make the command line active, type AL, enter, and select the objects. I'll select them with a window. Enter. I'll have to pick the first point, but I need OSNAP to be on. So I'll connect these 2 points, then I'll connect these 2 points. I'll press enter to end the command. The selected objects are moved from the source point to the destination point, and second and third points, if I specified them, will rotate and tilt the selected objects. In this video, you will learn how to draw an arc by specifying 3 points. I'll pick on the command line to make it active, type A, enter, and I need a start point. OSNAP is on, so I can pick this point, then I'll pick a point for the arc, and then the end point. I could do that again by hitting enter or the space bar to repeat the command. Take my first point, second point, and end point. Now we'll see how to use the break command to break an object, whether it be a line, a circle, or an arc. Of course, we'll make the command line active and type BR, enter which is the alias for break, and we'll select the line, and we're going to take OSnap off. And what we have to do is pick a point. You don't have to actually touch the line. I can repeat the command and pick another 2 points like that, or whatever. Keep doing it. Either go right to left or left to right, it doesn't matter. This time I'll hit enter or the space bar, and I'll select this line here. I'll type F enter, put the object snap back on, and select my first intersection and then my second intersection, and you see that the line in between has disappeared. Also, we'll take off the object snap, we'll hit the space bar to repeat the command, and we'll try it on the circle. We'll pick 2 points, hit the space bar or enter key, another 2 points. You'll notice that I'm doing it counterclockwise. When you break a circle, you always have to do it counterclockwise. You don't actually have to touch it but get close to it. And that looks reasonably well. In this video, we'll learn how to chamfer objects. I have here a plate and a round shaft. So the first thing I'll do is to type CHA enter, then I'll type D enter, and I'll type 0.25 enter. That establishes one distance. I'll hit enter, that establishes the second distance. Now all I got to do is select 2 lines. Hit enter or the space bar to repeat the command, and select another 2 lines. Repeat the command by hitting the space bar or enter key, and then do the last one. As far as the shaft goes, I'm going to type CHA enter again, try it. CHA enter, D enter. This time the distance will be 0.06. Enter, and I'll enter it again because I want it at 45 degrees. So now I'll select the corner, repeat it down there, and again on this side, and again here. And since this is a shaft, and looking at it from the outside, there should be a line here. So I'm going to put a line with object snap on from here to here, enter, repeat the command from here to here. And the drawing looks correct, so we'll move on. In this case, we will learn to draw a circle by specifying a center point and radius or diameter. And so I'm going to type C enter, then I'll type R enter, and with those snap on, pick the left end point, move the mouse. I'll type R enter for the radius and type 0.19, enter. Repeat the command by hitting the enter or space key. Select the other end of the line. Now I'm going to type D enter, and I'll type 0.75 enter. And that looks right. In this case, we're going to copy an object using 2 points. So on the command line, I'll type CO enter. I'll select the circle on the left, enter. A base point, I'll select the quadrant using the object snap, the quadrant, and I'll put that at the end point of the vertical line. Hit escape. Repeat the command. I'll select the circle. I'll pick the quadrant again, but this time I'll pick that left side quadrant, then bring it over here and put it at the end point there, and hit enter or escape to complete the command. And that looks okay. Here in this video, we'll learn how to insert points to mark equal segments. The first thing I want to do is to type PDMODE. The reason for that is I want to make sure I've got a mark here. 0, 1, 2, 3 all have different marks. So I'm going to accept 3 as the mark. Now I'm going to type DIV, enter. I'll select the line, and I'm asked for the number of segments. I'll type 3, enter. I'll repeat the command. I'll select the circle, and they ask for the number of segments, and I'll type 6. So those X's are PD mode 3, and that divides the line. I could draw lines, I could break at those points, and incidentally they're called nodes. These X's are called nodes. So you can break different segments and so forth. I don't think that the erase command requires much explanation. All you have to do is type enter, and you can select individual entities to erase, or you can hit enter, and you can type enter with a crossing so that anything you touch can be erased, or you can make a window so anything encompassed by the window will be erased, or you can undo. I think that's enough for the erase command. The extend command is pretty straightforward. I'll type EX, enter to extend. I'll select the circle, enter, and then pick any of these points to extend it to the perimeter of the circle. Repeat the command. I can do it one at a time. I want to extend to that line, enter. Repeat the command. I want to extend to this line, enter, that line, enter. Or you can do it multiple at once. For example, I want to extend to both of those lines, enter, then I can extend it like that. That's all you have to know about extend. The fillet command is extremely useful, and I use it all the time. I'll type F enter, R enter, 0.19 enter, and I'll select these two lines. I'll do it again. F enter, R enter. This time the radius will be 0, enter. This is a command you'll use constantly, because I can make a right angle whether the lines are far apart or whatever. So you want to be sure you learn the fillet command, and that's all there is to it. Here we're going to use the hatch command. I'll type H enter. Dialog box comes up, and I'm asked to select objects. So let's say I select the rectangle, enter. Dialog box appears again. I don't wish to make any changes to the scale or whatever, so I'll simply say OK. I'll repeat the command. This time I want to change the direction of the hatch marks, so I'll change the angle from 0 to 90, and I'll pick a point. I'll select objects. I'll select the circle, enter, dialog box appears, you click OK, and that's it. Kind of easy and straightforward. Autocad is not as hard as many people think it is once you get into it. Sometimes it's easier to use the mirror command than to use copy or move. In this case, I'll use mirror. MI, enter. I'll select the number 2 on that side, enter. With O snap on, I'll pick that vertical line. I got to pick 2 points like so, and you hit enter. You notice that the 2 does not invert. And I guess that's it for this video. The move command is also straightforward. Simply type enter, select the circle, go to the intersection there, and drag it to the end point like that. I could mirror that to put the circle on the other end, but instead I'm going to repeat, or I'll use the copy command. So I'm going to copy this, enter, from the quadrant on the left side and drag it over to the other end. Hit enter. And that's that. In this video, we'll offset a circle and a rectangle by specifying a distance. And so on the command line, I'll simply type O, enter, and then I'll type in a distance, 0.1, enter. And I can offset the circle any number of times. And also I can offset the rectangle, in both inside and outside, as you see. Hit escape to clear the command line, and that's that. In this video, we're going to use the petit command to join polylines, lines and arcs into a single polyline. Of course, you have to have a single polyline as shown in red here in order to be able to extrude it in 3 dimensions. So, to begin with, I'm going to activate the command line and type PE, enter. It says select a polyline, so I select a line. I'm asked if I want to turn it into a polyline. I say yes, enter, just hit enter. Then I want to type J, enter, to join. In other words, I want to join to that line, which I just made a polyline, all these other lines. So I select them all and hit enter twice. Now that is a polyline which can't be extruded. So same with that one. This is also, petit is also useful to create wide polylines. For example, if I was to type PE, enter, and select this line, which is a polyline, I can type W, enter, and specify a new width for all the segments. So I'll type 0.125, enter. Repeat the command, select the second line, W for width, enter, specify a new width, 0.375, enter. Repeat the command, select a polyline. An arc is a polyline. No, it's not. So I guess I have to turn it into a polyline. I'll say yes, enter, and then I'll type W, enter, and specify a width of 0.062, enter. And that's another example of the polyline edit command. In this video, we will create a polar array, and so I'll click the command line to make it active, type AR, enter. Then click on Polar Array and select Objects button, and I'll select the object. Hit enter, dialog box appears again. I'll click to pick a center point, which will be at the cross section. The total number of items I'll change to 10. I want the angle to fit to be 360 degrees, and so I'll click OK. In this one, we will create a rectangular array. We'll type AR, enter on the command line and select rectangular array. Now we'll want to change the rows to 2 and the columns to 3, and we have to select the objects down here. The dialog box appears again, and we should put in dimensions. The row offset would be 0.48, and the column, no, my mistake, the row offset would be 0.59, and the column offset would be 0.48. Then we'll click OK, and that looks all right. The rotate command is another one that I use quite often. All you got to do is type RO, enter. I'll select this line and select the base. I want the line to go clockwise, so it has to be a negative number. So I'll simply type -30, -30. Repeat the command. This time I'll take this vertical line, enter. There's the base point, and I want to do -30 again, -30 again. Then of course I would copy CO, enter, this line in order to make the before and after the same. We'll learn about putting dimensions on later on. And that's that.